on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey there. So this is an exciting show. It's exciting because I've got Montez Miller coming up. So welcome to Get Out There, Get Known podcast. Again, I am Dr. Pam Perry, and I'm excited because Montez is a real superstar. Okay, she really is. And she's so modest. She's so humble. She's met from presidents to Aretha Franklin to everybody in between, right? But she's still so down to earth. And I'm a little nervous because she is also a super producer, right? She's a super producer for many, many years. So I'm trying to do my little StreamYard stuff and trying to get the podcast going, streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Facebook. And it's like, no, she's a real super producer. She used to produce Video Soul from way back in the day, BET with Donnie Simpson. I don't know if you remember that. We'll kind of get into that. But she has made she's an OG in the media space, like really like one of the GOATs. And it's something to say about people who make that pivot and continue to make the pivot and stay on top of things, especially as fast as everything goes. So we're going to talk about how people get out there, get known, and she has seen it all. So with that, I'm going to bring up Montez Miller.
Oh, wow. Hey, Pam, how are you? That was a hot open. Let the producer and me come out. I got to tell you, that was a fantastic opening. That was hot. It's almost like you got to replay that again. That was absolutely wonderful, for real.
That was something that I was nervous about because I was like adding the music to the countdown, and then I was pulling this in. It was like, take the music down off the countdown, put in this one. And you know, the voiceover was Mark Perry, right? That was
really?
Yes, that was Mark.
Come on, Mark.
He was trying to be like a Donnie Simpson back in the day, okay?
That was very well put together. The energy was definitely there. And thank you. I want to thank you for allowing me to share your space.
Yes.
Really,
well,
this is awesome.
Hometown, Detroit, Motown. So I know you and I've known you for many years. Always loved you. Kind of give us a little bit of the background. I told him that you were a super producer at a former BET producer, videographer, photographer, all things. I didn't read the formal bio, but you can read it below. So you can kind of, I sometimes, I let people say, you can read the bio here. But I do want to say that some of the things recently that you have done, your images were featured in a commercial featuring Jennifer Hudson. You were responsible for the Queen of Soul and her first appearance on BET. Some of the things you work with, some of the heavy D's like Janet Jackson, Patti LaBelle, Diddy, New Edition, all the ones that make the girls like, that kind of thing. But 30 years in the entertainment industry, that is no easy feat. And it can be crazy. It can make you crazy and it can be crazy. So how did you stay sane and all that? Because you're still grounded, always have been, really doing the thing in excellence. How'd you get started?
It's the love, it's the passion that I have for what I do. And when I do what I do, I don't look at it as a job. I look at it as a possible last opportunity. Hey, this may be the last time that you will get to do this, but it's not a job to me. It's something that I truly love to do. I don't know what's going on with my hair today.
It's cute.
It's something that I'm sorry, but it's something that I truly love to do. So therefore, it's not a job to me. And I always tell people, do what you love and the money will follow.
That's
so I'll never forget when I first started off in the industry, because I wanted to do it so bad. Honestly, I worked for free, $100 a week. I'm doing 80 hours a week. My family was like, you're crazy. They're ganking you. But at the end of the day, again, I'm a firm believer that whatever you put in it is definitely what you get out of it. So I was dusting. I was on a mission. There were opportunities there. So even though I may have did it at an under market value, at the end of the day, it paid off. Yes. So I started out as a scene dancer with Nat Morris and WGPR.
One of the first Black-owned TV stations in the
Mhm.
country, WGPR, and that was the WGPR. They may not know, Montez. It says where
Where
God
God's presence radiates.
radiates. There you
Yeah.
go.
And it was, again, the first Black owned channel. Um, Nat Morris and the Scene was our
Mhm.
Soul Train for those who aren't familiar with the program. So I danced on there for a few months, and then they hired me as a dance coordinator, which gave me the opportunity to learn the behind the scenes of television.
Mhm.
So after I gained excessive amount of hands-on training, it was then that I tried to get into mainstream television, but unfortunately, it didn't work for me. So I ended up attending Specs Howard School of Broadcasting. I
Mhm.
went there for 9 months, and once I became certified in radio and television production, the
Now, how
rest
old
is
were you
history.
when about that time?
Oh my God. I'm gonna say I was in my 30s, maybe.
So
Yeah, yeah,
I want people to understand the sacrifices that you made. I mean, you're saying some of those things, but going back to school in your
yeah.
30s to be certified in radio and TV broadcasting at a
Mhm.
very expensive school.
There's a story behind going to school
Very
because
expensive.
I used to work as an assistant for the Electrifying Mojo, and that's how I got my start in radio. And I was the
Love
mother on
Mojo.
the mothership, and
Mhm.
so I was the one who used to send out the whammy claws. But at WJLB, there was a talent by the name of Lynn Briggs, and she was
Yes.
moving up.
Yeah.
She went to
Livingston.
school,
I think she's in
she got
Texas
on the radio, and it was like everything that was happening in her life, I wanted to happen for me. I
now.
don't
Mhm.
want to say I was jealous of her, but I was jealous of her because I wanted what was happening to her. She left JLB and then went out to California to work for Stevie Wonder. So
Mm.
my thing
Mhm.
has been, you don't know what she did to get there.
Right. Right.
Take the necessary steps that she took to get where she's going.
Mhm.
So she went to Specs. Well, guess what? I went to Specs too, you
Yeah.
know. And after that, I never looked back because in my second quarter at Specs Howard, I landed a job with Barton Cablevision.
Yes,
And
and that was a big deal. That was the second largest, I think New York was first, the second largest Black-owned cable franchise in the country.
right,
Don Barton, giving credit to Don Barton for having the vision to winning the contract. Thank you, Coleman Young, for allowing him to do, I mean, all the things, right? And during that time, everything is kind of coming together for Montez, right? Because she's working with Mojo, who at that time, people don't know who Mojo, is.
he was like the Frankie Carper of Detroit. That's
Yeah.
how I can describe Mojo because
He's like the
everybody
Steve
knows.
Harvey of Detroit.
Absolutely,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely, and he
Mhm.
broke Prince and the whole 9 yards, and
Yep,
he
yep.
did a whole bunch of other things. So I landed a job at Barton Cablevision, and I became a producer. I did that for about a year and a half, and
Is that all? It seemed like it was longer.
a year and
Okay,
a half,
okay.
and I was able to produce Potpourri, which was a show that was hosted by Charlene Mitchell,
Yes.
on Vogue with Bobby Bradley and Daryl Sims. Then I
Kathy
created.
Young Welch?
Oh my God, city highlights, yeah.
Yes, I love Kathy Young Welch.
Um,
Okay, we're just
charge
like
it to
having
my
this Bart
mind, not
reunion
my
over here,
heart.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Oh, yeah. Blacks in advertising, radio, and television. That was the time back in the day where it pulled all those people together, like Charlene Mitchell,
Yes.
Charlene
Look at
Mitchell,
you.
Kathy Young Welch. You got to say all three names, right? You just can't say one. Kathy Young Welch. Amazing people, talented, and all in the city rolling around where Motown was like birth. Also, too, a lot of black media moguls like the Mojos and all that kind of stuff. But go and Montez, right? And then we're gonna have to mention Donnie Simpson in here. He slides in, right? Because he's from
He's
Detroit as
he's
well. Mhm.
coming.
Yes, yes, yes.
He's definitely coming. Um, so I had the opportunity during my Barton Cable days. I produced a video show called The Club, and it was hosted by Lisa from WHYT.
Hmm.
And it was modeled after like Rap City, Midnight Love. I would watch
Hmm.
Video Soul day in and day out, basically for content purposes. because I didn't have time to view the videos as they were coming in. So I would watch, BET to pick and choose what videos would fit, that show that I was working on. So during my BET days, I was working on a documentary, Dangerous Society. It was modeled after a book written by Dr. Carl Taylor, because I always wanted to do a documentary on the urban mindset, drug gangs, and violence.
That
So
was big
as
growing up during that period
back,
of time.
yeah,
Adult Boys Incorporated had came to town.
YBI,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just wanted to tap into that, and just not necessarily tell their story, but tell the story about the mindset.
Mhm.
Um, so a gentleman by the name of Richard was working on a sales presentation at Barton Cablevision, and he was across from my desk. And as I was working on the layout, he looked over my shoulder. He was impressed. I told him what I was working on, and he was like, "Girl, send me, a resume to BET. We're looking for a producer." And I'm like, "Yeah, like right, like BET really gonna give me a job?" After being told no by mainstream media, I was like, "They're not gonna give me a job." So when he got back to DC, he called me. He said, "Girl, are you gonna send your resume or what?" He
What?
said, "We looking for a producer," because I
Okay.
did not follow up.
Mhm.
So it was at that time I took time out to do a demo, and 2 weeks later, I received a phone call from BET.
There you go. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So then Detroit, you left Detroit, you left us. And how long were you at BET and what shows did you work on?
Um, I was at BET for about 6 years. Yeah,
Mhm.
about 5, 6 years. I left Detroit, went to Washington D.C., stepped out
Mhm.
on faith, didn't even know anybody. I didn't have any friends nor relatives, but somebody from Detroit lived there, and he came highly recommended. They told us back in school that sometimes you may have to live with a total stranger, in order to get that job,
Mhm.
until
Mhm.
you can get yourself, on your feet.
Mhm.
So I lived with someone. He opened up his door to me, and until I got myself, on my feet, and I was able to do it from there. But I went in as a producer for the creative services department,
Mhm.
and I was producing promos for the music shows and specials. Um, Michael Jackson, Black and White,
Mhm.
Gerald Levert, the
Mhm.
BET sitcoms, anything that had to do with the promotion department
Mhm.
in music. I was able to do that. So I did that for like 6 months. Then they promoted me to the producer of Video LP,
Mm.
and Madeline Woods was the host. And from there, they promoted me to the producer of Video Soul with Donnie Simpson, which was a dream come true
He's from
because,
Detroit.
yes, that too. But let me
Mhm.
back up. During my BET days, I was really obsessed. During my Barton days, I was really obsessed with BET.
Mhm.
I really wanted to work with BET, and I would
Mm.
watch that channel day in, day out. I would never cut off the television. My brother would say, "Girl, do you watch anything else besides BET?" I can be asleep and the television is still on, because if I wake up in my sleep and there's a good video, then I'll write the song down. I'll wait for the opening, for the
Mhm.
closing of the song, and I
Oh
would
my
take notes.
God.
But I always been obsessed with BET, and it was a dream come true when they assigned me to be the producer of Video Soul.
That is so good. And now, see, one of the main things you said that you paid your dues. A lot of times people think like, oh my God, so you just, you roll in the big bucks. People don't understand that people who do what they love initially don't make a lot of money,
We don't.
especially in media and in
Mhm.
journalists. And that's why I have so much respect for all the journalists, from Vicki Thomas, who worked at WWJ. Now she's like at the city of Detroit, to all the people that are quote unquote the big journalists now, but it didn't start there. They don't
No.
realize that a lot of times they're making peanuts along the way before they really hit it big. And so I personally sometimes have a very strong opinion about people who want to just jump to the top without paying the dues and say they want to, oh, I want to be on BET and I want to talk to, I don't know, Montez. So she's at BET. I want to talk to Montez. It's like, listen, you have to pay your dues just like everybody else. You just can't jump to the front of the line. You got to take your turn and wait just like everybody else. And really it's like you're germinating. It's like it's baking. It's really it's brewing to the point where you can really take all of that, because at this point, starting in Detroit, working at the scene, going back to school, working with Mojo, working at Barton Cable. Then, I mean, if you had just went from the scene to BET, it wouldn't be like crazy. It's like, first of all, too starstruck to really understand the whole situation, because, even though these people are quote unquote famous, they're real people, but you can't be what I call, you can't be fanning on the people.
Absolutely. And that was one thing and that's where the humbleness come in for me. I vowed to God that I would never, ever let, any opportunity or situation go to my head, because when the artist or celebrity let opportunities go to their head, first of all, everything that's happening to you is not happening to you because of you. It's happening because really it's a gift from God.
Mhm.
So that you have to be open up to accepting it's not you, it's God working through you. So guess what? Just like he gave it to you, he can take it away. So with that being said, I vow to never, ever let nothing that happened in my life go to my head. My girlfriends used to get mad. Girl, you better tell people who you are. Nope. You need to go up to the front of the line. Don't you know who you are? I'm going to stand in line and I'm going to pay if I have to. I just vow, because what happens is for those who let it go to their head, when it comes to an end, it's a hard fall.
That is so good. It's really funny because we're doing all this before social media, right, Montez? So we're like OGs in this. So it was way before Facebook, shoot. It was before MySpace, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so now people are just really like, I'm an influencer. Oh, really? I have 25, 30,000 on Instagram. I have 50,000 on Twitter. And I'm like, okay, so you're famous now? Oh, yeah, yeah. Do you know who I am on Twitter? Really? This is the thing. I'm like, ooh, this is it. I was like, talk about stuff going to your head. It was like, this stuff is not real. And as a publicist, it's I know that part of it is positioning, part of it is spinning, but don't ever believe your own hype.
Kim, he was on Instagram and on Facebook the other day, and he was doing a little tribute to Tina Turner. And he said something that really struck a nerve, which was, we have a lot of celebrities, but everybody is not a star.
There you go. There you go. I love that.
I love
Tina
it.
Turner was a star. Aretha Franklin was a star. Speaking of Riri, so let's talk about that story. Montez, one of my favorite producers and one of my favorite people. So we got some people out there fanning on you.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Chris. Hey, hey, Chris. That's
So
my city of Detroit, people. I love my city of Detroit. I do.
So
Yes.
everyone knows Aretha Franklin's from Detroit, and we and Montez are from Detroit. And so sometimes, we could be on Facebook or whatever, and then people will just kind of like just send you stuff. And I don't really check my DMs that much. But this one particular time, let's tell about who was in your DMs.
So that story, my girlfriend plays the tambourine for Aretha Franklin. And I knew that they were at the White House in Washington, D.C. for a PBS special. And it was entitled The Women of Soul. I thought it was airing that evening on PBS. So I'm scrolling the cable dial, on the internet trying to find, this PBS special with the women and the whole 9 yards. Well, somehow I ended up on the White House website and the production was streaming. So I was literally in the bed watching it on my iPad, taking pictures from my camera phone, posting it on Facebook. Detroit at the Big House, Aretha Franklin at the White House. Everybody was like, "What are you watching? What are you watching?" I said, "I'm not. It's streaming right now from the White House website. They're in production." 2 days went by. Her publicist reached out to me, Gwen Quinn.
Quinn. Hey.
Yeah, Montez. I just got off the phone with Aretha and she loves you. And, but you got me in trouble. I said, "What happened, Gwen?" She said, "Miss Franklin wanted to know, how is it that Montez Miller knew she was at the White House and I'm the publicist and I didn't know?" She said, "Well, Miss Franklin, I knew you were at the White House. I just didn't know it was streaming until Montez started posting." And she was like, "Well, you need to get to know Montez Miller. She's in the know. She was an executive at BET." But what Miss Franklin didn't know was that Gwen and I used to work together in New York at Island Black Music. I was the director of national video promotion. And after BET, I went to the music side of the industry. And so 2 days went by. This name popped up on my Facebook page. I heard Miss Franklin was on Facebook, but she on my page. I'm like, this can't be her. Maybe the Russians then hacked her name. I heard she was on Facebook, but this is not Miss Franklin. It's not her. So my heart was beating fast. I was nervous whether or not it was her, but she also had to realize that just because you and I are engaged in a conversation, other people can chime in as well. So I started praying, "Lord, please don't let nobody hit this thread right now," because she thinks she can only talk to me, but anybody can chime in. "Lord, please don't let nobody hit this thread." She asked me to do her social media. So I immediately went out and bought a point and shoot camera. Back then, that was sufficient for social media. But then the follow-up conversation was, "The pictures you take, I want you to send them to a trade magazine." Huh? Girl, I do video for a living. I don't do photography. I've never shot a picture no more than, what's coming from the cell phone. But I'm like, oh my God, she's talking professional. So thank God I had the money. So I was able to go to the store and purchase a camera. I told the gentleman, I said, "Look, I have the opportunity of the lifetime on the table. It could make me or break me." I said, "I don't care how much it costs. Give it to me. I'm not professional, but I want to look the part. I can't go in there with a cell phone talking about, 'Let me take a picture of you. I'm with Miss Franklin.'" So fortunately, I purchased a camera and everything that I needed to look the part. And she took me on a trip with her to Harvard, where she was being honored a doctorate. And it was because of Miss Franklin that I picked up a camera. I never, ever thought about doing still photography.
Who are those photos behind you over there?
Oh my God.
Yes. So those of you who are listening on the podcast can't really can't really see this, but she has one big picture of President Obama. Who took that shot?
All the pictures that you see on the wall are mine. This is like my COVID project. I have like a whole box of autographs and pictures that I collected, over the years through my BET days and Barton Cable days. And I always wanted to put those pictures in a frame and on the wall. So when COVID happened, I got ready to hang those. Somebody was like, "Why are you hanging those pictures? You should hang your own." I said, "You know what? You're right." So on the wall, you have former President Obama, the spirit of Detroit. You have Billy Gibbons, the look at me trying to get it right. My right here, that's my COVID shot just before COVID happened. I was taking pictures of the Detroit Pistons and the Utah Jazz.
I thought that was basketball.
That came from there. And then we have DL here, Reverend L. Sharpton.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Is that Sharpton before or after the wait? It
Like
after.
After he was here for a Democratic
So you're shooting black and white, you're shooting action, you then at this point are like learning how to shoot, right? It's like getting the shot. And I'm just looking at your career is such full circle, and you make these pivots, right? Starting at Chris Moselle, starting at the scene as a dancer, right? This is like
Right.
one of the things, just doing what you love, stepping out what is really uncomfortable though, doing some things, but always in terms of media, always within that part, media and music and entertainment and video and those kind of things. She said something, if you all remember, she said she was obsessed with BET, Black Entertainment Television. I mean, she's her own BET. I mean, her company, the Montez Group, is really a production house. So if someone wanted to get any kind of integrated marketing, it's in her wheelhouse to do. And it takes 10 years to be overnight success, 30 years to become like a master at this. And Montez is a master at it. And she does it with such finesse. Just some people
Thank
just have such
you.
finesse. And she worked with the city. She was taking shots for them. I mean, she's done a lot of different things, but it has not been easy. And what I want people to understand is that when you want to pitch the media, to one, respect them from the standpoint to know that they didn't just start out like working as the managing editor, right? They had to go through different steps or whatever. So you want to always be nice to people along the way. They may not be where like the managing editor or the publisher or the producer, but you still are nice to people along the way. You never know where they're going to end up.
You never know where they're going to end up. And I
Mhm.
try to be cordial, to everybody. And everybody is not going to like you. And to those, who don't like me and whatever the case may be, I still love you. But
Mhm.
you try to be cordial to
Yeah.
everybody and don't look at nobody as having less than, because it's that person that has the less than that would bring you more than. Ooh.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true.
Yeah.
The whole thing, John Barfield, he passed a few years ago. He's from Detroit, but John Barfield died a billionaire, but he started out as a janitor.
See?
He has a book called Starting from Scratch. I helped him with that. So you just never know, and especially in the industry of media and marketing and music and all those kind of things. You want to make sure that you're always cordial, and that social media has become like this whole big thing, but still realize it's individual people behind each one of those names, whether it's on
Absolutely.
LinkedIn or whatever. I see Ricky, and Chris, they're on here. They're really, there's people behind each of the names. So don't just think like, oh, I'm collecting this so I can be, if I hit 10,000, I could be influencer. I hit 25,000, I can get a book deal. If I hit 50,000, whatever, I get paid on my YouTube channel. I mean, at this point, we're like taking the social out of the social media. It's like,
Absolutely. And that's one thing I learned from social media and Miss Franklin. I tell everybody to use social media as a marketing tool. Right now it's free. You're
mhm,
getting away with like a whole bunch of free
promotion.
advertisement commercials,
Mhm,
whatever a lot of free opportunities to show the world who you are.
mhm,
So, whatever it is that's on the inside of you, whatever it is that you want to do, make your social media page represent
pop.
you.
Yep,
Yeah.
make it pop. That is,
Whatever it is that you want
mhm,
to do, whether it's on Instagram, LinkedIn, or whatever, all that other stuff and fun stuff and none the shenanigans. No, you're wasting time if you're not using social media to market you.
mhm. That is good. That is good.
Because there are people out there, honestly, that's looking for you, but
Mhm.
they don't know where to find you if you're
Right.
not displaying who you are.
You're not visible. You got to get out there and get
Mhm.
known. That's one of the main things. That is so good. That is so good. So Montez Miller, she can go to the montezgroup.com. She does photography, video, editing. I mean, just all the things that have to do with the audiovisual world, right? And
Yeah,
it's integrated marketing. So
I'm excited. Not to cut you off, but we're gearing up for our BET reunion, so
yeah,
that's what's gonna happen next month. So I'll be able
yes.
to, reconnect
Oh my
with
God, that is
Ronnie
going to be
Simpson and everybody. So I'm excited.
That is going to be so cool. That is going to be so cool. So I look forward to seeing all of the photos about that, all of the live streaming, all those things.
Oh, they come and trust me.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you. And I just really just think it's going to be really, really good. So I just know we keep running into each other online and that kind of thing. So we got to see each other soon, probably down at the Aretha Franklin
Grand Prix this weekend.
Yes. And then also too, not the Aretha, we changed the name of Shane Park to
the Aretha.
Yes, the Aretha.
That is very cool. That was such a so that's how you want to live.
Yeah, you want to live your life, make an impact like that, where they just name sinners after you. You know, that kind of thing. All righty. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Really, this is like wow. And I'm just being honest because I don't do interviews, and I'm trying to come off of my comfort zone, because I do like the behind the scenes. And I was talking to somebody the other day, girl, because I got them designing me some sneakers for the BET reunion. Okay, we're having a sneakers ball, so I got Dana Harris. She's going to design me these BET shoes, with the studs and the logo on it. And I was talking to her. She said, "You used to work at BET?" And I was like, "Girl, yeah, I was the producer of Video Soul." She said, "Girl, I ain't even know." I was like, "Thank you." But Pam, I love you and continue to walk in the light because you, young lady, you have everybody's light shine bright.
Oh,
continue speaking.
Oh, thank you so much, Montez. Thank you so much.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for real.
Thank you. Well, I'm gonna try and do some producer stuff over here, and we're gonna see how this works out over here, and then we're gonna end the show.
You're doing a wonderful job. You're doing a wonderful job. Thanks.
I'm Pam Perry, and I am out. Hey, this is Pam Perry, really giving you a PR pep talk. How to get publicity? What can it do for you? Why do you need it? What's it do? How much it costs? I'm gonna answer those questions in a sec. So what can quick media coverage do? It can help you increase your visibility online, extend your reach, stand out from the crowd, higher ranking on Google so you can get found. SEO is important. That's what PR can do for you, for sure. So when you're ready, go to PamPerryPR.com. Love for you to get out there and get known. Get in all of the media that you see on the website, PamPerryPR.com. Take a pic of the packages for the PR on PamPerryPR.com. All righty. We'll see you there.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where we help you